A searing look at Hollywood's exploitative nature, Sunset Boulevard still holds up. Its exposé on the unreal nature of show business in many ways is timeless. It centers around two characters: Norma Desmond, forgotten silent screen legend, played by silent screen legend Gloria Swanson, and disillusioned screenwriter Joe Gillis, played by William Holden. Joe is our guide through the gothic horror Hollywood museum/morgue, the star exhibit being Norma Desmond. The audience is subjected to a macabre opening scene, spoiling the ending. The original script had Joe talking to dead people in the morgue, but it didn't work with test audiences, so the scene was reshot. Joe is a B-movie grade writer. Early in the picture, we get to see him pitch a hack baseball flick called Bases Loaded, and get a sense that the character Joe is a composite of hundreds of young wide-eyed writers who continuously pester producers for work, their unremarkable skill overshadowed by their inflated egos. Producer Sheldrake does not beam with confidence. He's another casualty of the Hollywood grind. Joe's voice-over narration is a glimpse into his level of writing. His ubiquitous B-movie account works well against Gloria Swanson's over-the-top theatrics. Joe is drawn into Norma's claustrophobic world of delusion. While being chased by Repo Man, he briefly escapes by hiding in Norma's garage. Norma's dwelling is an elaborate Spanish castle, a perfect symbol of the opulence that actors from that era enjoyed. Director and co-writer Billy Wilder was intrigued by the palatial mansions scattered across the Hollywood landscape built for the stars of silent cinema. Wilder wondered what happened to those people who had been so famous, now forgotten. The script for Sunset Boulevard connected two desperate people who are disposable commodities tossed aside by the cruel Hollywood film industry. When Joe meets Norma, we are introduced to Norma's recently deceased pet chimp. The ape is symbolic of the now useless product. Norma is looking to dispose of him. Although she wants a garish burial, at least she's somewhat thoughtful about seeing him off. A thoughtfulness that as a fading actress she was never afforded. Silent movie director Erich von Stroheim plays a former silent movie director who is now Norma's butler Max. Also, we get to see a few former silent screen actors, or waxworks, that include Buster Keaton. The self-references continue as Norma and Joe watch Queen Kelly, a failed project starring Swanson and directed by Erich von Stroheim. We also get a fly on the wall peek at Schwab's Pharmacy, a popular Hollywood hangout frequented by the likes of the Marx Brothers and Orson Welles. Columnist Sidney Skolsky wrote his gossip column from a stool in Schwab's using the hangout as his office. Paramount Studios built an exact replica on their lot. Sunset Boulevard was made by the studio Paramount Pictures. This is where Gloria Swanson and Cecil B. DeMille made a series of successful pictures together. The Paramount news team comes to Norma's mansion to film the aftermath of Joe's murder. Norma Desmond's disappearance from movies was due to her failure to make the jump to the new medium of talking pictures, something that was a harsh reality for many stars. Young female stars were at a high premium for the sound era, but unfortunately, Norma was far too old to be considered for roles, even though she took advantage of this bias decades before as a 16-year-old. The best way to market silent movies was to market the films using the star system. Publicity built up the stars, making them look larger than life. With most of her life in the movie business, Norma's psyche was broken by the system, an unfortunate side effect.
You know, a dozen press agents working overtime can do terrible things to the human spirit.
Because Joe is the narrator, we are inclined to empathize with him. He's down on his luck and has sunk to a new low, retooling a washed-up actress's vanity project Salome. But what's interesting is that it's really Norma that has lowered herself. Once intimate with the world's most renowned lover, now she's with Joe. Joe is not a has-been, he's a never was. Joe winds up dead in a pool, and Norma gets her comeback in front of the cameras and claims victory. Wilder tried to get Mary Pickford to play Norma and then tried Pola Negri, but there is no better choice than Gloria Swanson. Her performance is striking and menacing. She dwarfs the character, the bland Joe Gillis. Norma is larger than life, like the movie star projected onto an enormous movie screen. Ironically, Joe is the Walking Dead, too lazy and cynical to make a go of it. Just like a noir heel, he thinks the woman is beneath him, but she turns out to be wiser and cleverer than the smug Joe. She's just using him like the Hollywood system. Use him up and then throw his used carcass away. But what makes this film so enduring? Norma represents a victim of progress. When thinking back to technological advances, one might forget about the very real casualties of those inventions. Because of talkies, Norma very quickly went from unprecedented fame to being completely dismissed, which must be psychologically devastating. We are reminded of it every day, especially with the advances happening at lightning speed. Large swaths of the population are experiencing being put out to pasture by the same industry they once helped build. When it comes to Hollywood, from the minute they broke ground to the modern day, stories of exploitation have poured out of that town. The babe in the woods, fresh off the bus, used, abused, and discarded. Celebrities gone and forgotten. some a flash in the pan, with few lucky enough to stick around long enough to remain useful. And characters like Joe are in abundance. They toil in obscurity because of delusion, hubris, and a pipe dream. Joe's career never gets out of first gear. He's out of his element. A small-town newspaper writer whose ego won't let him go back to his Midwest paper. There's no glamour there. All of those people in his hometown are beneath him. And of course, it's redundant at this point to talk about social media and smartphones' impact on one's psyche. The digital landscape is full of Norma Desmonds, all waiting for their close-up.